Hi everyone, welcome back to Eleanor's Restoration, and in this one I'm going to be focusing on replacing the hinge plate and the inside boxing plate, which is all under here, but I'll go over that when I get to that stage. Before I get to that stage I need to remove what's left of this inner wing here, and I need to do it carefully because some of the brackets underneath I need to reuse, so some bits I'm not fussed about because I'll be replacing the bulkhead, other bits I will, but I'll go over that as I'm coming. So some bits will be easier to come off and others will need cut. So yeah, join me while I get this to a similar stage that the other side's at. The shock absorber support bracket, I can already see holes in this here. And if you can see around here, it has been patched at some point. I want to try and get this off without snapping the nuts because I'll use this point here to line up the new inner wing as it goes on, along with the points on the door hinges. So I'm going to clean this up, and on the other side hopefully these will come off easier than the other side. The other side, two of them snapped, so fingers crossed. So you get a clearer picture of the patch that's on there just now. If I get a screwdriver, absolutely solid. Which, if we look at this plate here, now these are prone to this, but it's the fact that this has been replaced and this hasn't. So someone's went to the trouble of getting this done and they thought, oh, I'll just stick that back on, and it's, look at it, stay that. So these, I got them, I think they're about £12, and it just goes to show, if you're going to do a job, do it properly. But on the plus side, all four bolts came out. Hopefully you can see, again this thing has been plated, plate round by here, and it doesn't look like it's been done very well. It's just been a quick, I mean it is solid, but it's obviously just tacked. Same as I found on the other side way back. And it comes round here, there's another plate here, and there's one further down as well, so yeah. It's had about as much life as it could possibly get this inner arch. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to stick it on the time lapse and get all this cut out. Now what I did say before, there's the lower dash rail comes around about here. If I clean some of this back you will see the spot welds. That'll make it clearer for me where I have to cut, because the flange behind there and up the top here are the important ones I need to keep because I don't want to replace them. I might have to if they're damaged, but on the other side they were actually okay, so it's just a case of being methodical, safe and cutting. that took a wee while, but it's off and I'm happy with it for what I'm using it for. So you'll have seen I was very careful with the lower dash rail here because I plan to reuse this to weld to the new inner wing. I purposefully wasn't as careful for all the flanges on the bulkhead, so this one here all the way around the cross member and in particular around here. If you're not replacing the bulkhead, which to be honest most people won't be, it just takes a lot longer and it takes a lot more time to be careful going around here, either drilling out the spot welds or grinding back, and protecting the flange as much as you can. 9 times out of 10 you're going to have to do repairs because these flanges here are wafer thin. Even the good ones at the top are still, you know, they're still not what they were like when they were new. So yeah, you're doing all that, just take your time and have a break. It does get quite smoky and it can be quite repetitive, although I find it quite therapeutic. The top dash rail here is probably a bit too thin for my liking, and what I did find is it's quite hard up here because you've got 3 layers. So you've got the upper dash rail, the bulkhead, then the scuttle, and what happens is water runs down and it gets trapped in here and it rusts out. So until I dig a bit deeper, my initial thought is I'm going to have to replace the top dash rail as well. But that's at a slightly later stage. Just as I said before, I'm focusing on this area at the moment. Now the reason I took all this off past the lines was because on the other side it just gave me a problem fitting. Now the only trial fitting the inner wing, the only bit I'm concerned about is fitting it onto here, being flat up here and getting it right for the hinge panel. So that's kind of what I've worked around with this. So yeah, what I'm going to do next, there's still a couple little bits in here that I found awkward on the other side because of access, and obviously I'm saving this panel so I have to be careful. But the boxing plate, you can buy one that's got the bracket joint on for this, which is what I've got and I'll show you. And you can buy one where it just gets welded onto here without the actual bracket. I went for the bracket because I want it to be solid and original, but yeah, I'll bring the camera in closer and I'll show you moving just these extra flanges in here before I can offer the new panels up. Before I do any test fitting, as I mentioned, there's still a couple of flanges to get rid of in here, and it'll be easier if I show you on the panel. So this is the panel, see the panel number there, ALA 5689. So this goes against here, this part here goes under here, and this part here goes in here. So underneath this flange here is this part here, so this needs removed, and this part in here, see the wee groove there, is this part here. What I done is I obviously, when I took it off, I just cut along here and I cut along here. So like I say, the other side gave me a bit of hassle just because of the access getting in. The way I found best was, for this part anyway, was to drill through here because this is spot welded on through the lower dash. Likewise, the bottom part is spot welded through here, so it is quite awkward getting in with a drill, but you can either cut it out, grind it out, or drill the spot welds, and that's what I'm going to do now. Get the last part off. Spot welds drilled out, hopefully getting in from this side now, it should lift away, but the other side had like sealant in it, so it was still a bit tricky, and what I want to try and avoid is misshaping the curve on here, which I failed to do on the other side, and took a bit of work getting it back to where I was happy with. And again, I'm trying not to replace this lower dash rail, so let's see if I can get this flange picked off. This is all now clear. Put up a little bit of a fight, but not as bad as the other side. It's all, as you can see, got well through primer on. This side, once welded, I'll need tidied up slightly, but yeah, that's about as much prep at the moment that I can do. It's now time to start offering up some panels, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over how they all go here, because there's quite a few panels that fit in here. One of the most things I'm looking forward to at the end of all the bodywork is not having this pile when you've done a couple hours work, because it's just rust and rust. But the way I look at it, every bit of rust that's on here is less rust on here. It's time to start looking at the panels that go on here. So the two that I'll be replacing in this video are going to be the hinge panel, which is this here. Heritage panel number is ALA 6473, and that's obviously for the left hand side. Then I'll also be doing, which you've already seen already, is the boxing plate, which sits on the inside here. As you can imagine, there needs to be good strength in here to hold the door on, because the door's heavy. A combination of all these panels spot welded together along with the inner wing gives it that strength. They're quite weak individually, but when you add them all together and build up the layers, they're really strong until rust takes over and kills that. But how do they go? It's easier when you're actually doing this than it is looking at books, because it can be quite confusing. But there's grooves here. So the only panel that's on at the moment is the A-post. Now this A-post is the one that joins into the doorstep. That's what I replaced. So there's a groove here, where my finger is, and there's a groove here. Now there's corresponding grooves in the hinge panel here, so they should line up perfectly in there if everything's in the right place. How does it go? So you've got the door check strap that lines up with this here, these two grooves, and obviously the hinge holes need to stick out here, so it goes like this. Like that. Once this is prepped, weld through, primer, etc. put on, it then gets spot welded all the way down here on this side, and then all the way up here on this side. So what I'm going to do off camera, I'm going to go and get this all prepped. So I'll take off paint here, here, here and here, and here, and here on the other side. Weld through primer where it needs to, and I'll come back when I'm going to spot weld it on. Right, so you've seen there, it's been prepped and primed, and I've just clamped it in. Happy where it's clamped, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the spot welder, put a couple of spot welds in, not fully spot weld it, put a couple in enough to get the clamps off, and then I'm going to offer the door up. Now I'm not going to put weight on the door, I'm just going to line it up in the hinges and held by the door lock here, and see how good a fit it is. That should be enough there to get the clamps off and get the door hung. Now there's only been what, 7 or 8 spot welds there, so it's not going to be strong enough to hold the full weight of the door on its own. Tightest bit is sort of here, but when it's pulled a bit tighter and it's got the boxing plate and all the other strength in, I'll get a better idea, but it's looking actually alright. Swage line lines up, so yeah, I think I'm going to go with that, I think. So the best thing I can do now, and this is no shims or anything, so I can add them in later on, get the door off, get it fully spot welded, primed and things like that, so that it's permanently in. Right, going to finish getting this spot welded in. The hinge panel is welded in place and it just needs tidied up. But before I do that, I'm going to mock fit the boxing plate, see how good a fit it is, and then obviously I'll take it back off, prepare it, and then I can get it clamped up and do the same as this. So basically these parts here have to go in here, as I said before, and this part here goes underneath. So there we go, very roughly that's how it sits. Now this obviously gets spot welded all up the seam with the A panel. It gets plug welded here and it gets welded at the back here. What I'll do is I'll just bring you around the back and you can have a look at this side to see how this lines up. Then I'll get this off and prepped. View from the other side. So as you can see, this goes in here. Originally it gets spot welded like this. This will line up here and it'll get welded along here. What I've done with the other side, I just put a couple of welds under here just to strengthen it up, because this flange here isn't the thickest. This surface all the way down here will get prepped, but it won't be attached just now because this gets welded to the inner wing. So the inner wing basically comes there. So I'll get this off, get it back on, get it clamped up, and I'll come back when I've got it in a place I'm reasonably happy to start welding. It's all clamped up. Just to give you an idea of where I've clamped it on the bottom to the inner sill, onto the lower dash rail here, and also the bit onto the front of the lower dash rail. Top bit here where it meets underneath here, and then obviously all the way down so it's clamped onto the A-post. Now I just need to spot weld all down here, and I need to put a couple of tack welds in here from around this side, here and here, and then I can get it cleaned up. As I said, plug welds here, round the front there, tacks here and here. I'm going to go get all these welds cleaned up, some primer, some paint, and job done for this area here at least. So I'll go and do that off camera, and I'll come back once I've got all that done. The hinge panel and boxing plate is finished. I've put a bit of paint in here, well through primer where it needs, tidied up some of the areas with little smidgens of filler, because I like them to look nice and because it's inside it's going to be seen. So yeah, got a few finishing touches to do. What I'm going to do is I'll do a quick walk round of the finished article, and what I'm going to do next, I'm going to put the inner arch on this side, hang the door here, and just see how it lines up, and when I've done that I'll come back to you. So that's it for this episode. I hope you got something from this. Next I'll be looking at the front. I need to start prepping the bulkhead in terms of getting some more bracing done to line things up and getting a few bits and pieces off the front, and then I need to get this bit of the jig removed and that cut off and that back on. Simple as that. But yeah, no, that's it for this one. So thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!